Okay. The other day, I had a conversation with an engineer in the company, and they asked me for advice. How to get rid of these 10 JIRAs that security team assigned to me. And by the way, I have the manager support for that ask. That's all we typically have in pretty much a number of companies, right? Welcome to the talk, everybody. So excited to be here for the very first besides Galway. And today we will be talking about security-first culture, especially when it comes to tech companies, to engineering companies or engineering teams. My name is Roman. I work for Red Hat, but today's all the views and opinions all my own. Please don't sue us for anything. And a bit of background of myself. Right now, I'm doing security and community engagement at Red Hat. I also support a number of open source projects and initiatives as a security champion architect. I am an engineer, essentially. I'm also engaged into the standards, compliance, mentoring a few startups. My career started long ago, and I did a number of good things, all in security. I broke and I secured software and IT systems for enterprises. I just worked for Intel a month ago as a head of product security for data center and AI software business group. And most importantly, during my career, I educated thousands of engineers and still alive. Can you believe it? And also, I kind of really excited to do some of the nice things. My passion is to create world-changing technology that I used for good, not for bad. And I do some sports stuff. I play for the Guardians volleyball team. My greetings to Galway volleyball team. Well, I get it here in Galway. And this picture at the very far right, I think, made from one of my camping activity, just right there in Connemara, a beautiful space. All right. So why we're here? The one reason is this is a beautiful statistics or other report that came out of the company called JIT.io. They did the survey, and the question was, what are the biggest challenge you face when it comes to securing your own code? And, complexity of modern architecture and applications, of course, that's the case. But lack of the knowledge, training, and guidelines, lack of priority, these things in the top 3. Who of us would like to do some extra work, especially on weekends and, in the evening, especially when you don't know what it is for? Okay, I see one person wants to do some extra work, but who much of us wants to do? Very great. I will come to you. I need some help with my backlog. So, and how much of us just wanted to do some exciting work, build the great applications or great projects or do something wonderful? So, a lot of us. So that's what hopefully we will be talking about today. Doing something wonderful. One of the other questions that, or the quote that was there, the biggest issue was that the product team or engineering team is always trying to get features out, so we don't really focus on security unless we are under the gun of the compliance, right? And this is obviously a good leverage, but my experience told me that not the best one. The other quote is, my organization prioritizes shipping as fast as possible over security, right? Because other guys, they're pushing for things to get shipped faster, performance review, and we are overwhelmed, and etc. Yes, that's what we have and still have in a number of companies. But what we all as the engineers, as developers or other contributors in the industry would like to do, quite obvious things, right? Have some fun, right? Not like struggling with things. Also, we would really like to use familiar environment and tools that's supportive and non-blocking. Keep up with cutting-edge technology, innovate, do some good stuff. Solve our own team challenges, because that's we are belonging to the team, right? We wanted to be the team players and do something that's valuable inside the team. And most importantly, be proud of the work and feel valued in the team, in the department, and in the company, right? And let's think about how we can make it all happen. Another portion, I really like this report, and you can kind of check and download it. Another question was, how would you describe the collaboration between the development team and the security team at your company? The very interesting question. That is, really challenging sometimes, and this is the scale at the very bottom from 1 to 6, stating from 1 is an excellent, right, and 6 we don't even have a security team, right, and you can spot on the 3, 4, 5, and 6 that combined are kind of the most popular answer. That's okay. It's maybe some kind of fair, right, but still not at the best and excellent level, unfortunately. Now, what could solve all our problems and resolve all these tensions between security and engineering team? Security first culture. What does that mean, security first culture? Actually, this is a really complex process, I would say. Quite obviously, this is not as state, right, as we usually say in security, that security is not a target, it's a journey, and that so much applies to security first culture, that is not like you can achieve in the minutes or in the week or in the year. This is the picture how we saw it at Intel, for example, and this is quite obviously complicated and combined from all the things like red teaming, training, automation, standards, customer outreach, and other kind of pillars. If you wonder that it applies only for the big companies that have kind of enormous resources to kick all these programs off, I will try to debunk this myth, and we will see some of the simple examples how you can really boost your security first culture, even though you don't have a lot of resources, for example, or how to start also. First of all, security starts with the management, and often the time I have a question, I had a question when I was in charge of security, like showing the value of what we're doing, or we have this the big hole in APIs, so what, right? Often the case, and that's why security becoming a permanent part of engineering leadership agenda comes to play, because if it's not on the agenda of our leaders, of our managers and beyond, if nobody talks about that, it becomes less valuable naturally, right? So we just need to do exactly opposite. Show customer wins, quotes, and money, of course. There are 1,001 ways how we can quantify security and outcomes of security. It's not that easy, right? It's all complicated, but if we just can show the little examples from the top down, from the leadership level to all of the teams, hey, we just did this nice security hardening, or we actually mitigated this vulnerability before it became available for the nice pen testers out there. We saved money, or otherwise we have this quote from the customer that says, okay, that's really good job to improve a security posture of the product. We now trust you, or we trust even more your product or project. It's very important to show explicitly, right, in the simple words. Now focus on how security can help overall project health and developer practices maturity overall. Actually, quite a number of times I've seen that security help to build the good processes, the good engineering processes themselves, unrelated to security. It could be quality, like an obvious ally of security, but it also could just the good engineering practices, how you write your code or how you deploy your applications, whether or not you have the good documentation or blueprints or whatever. And security can help with this just to make your product better and not necessarily like secure, right? It's a nice additional positive outcome which could be a driver of security in first engineering culture. It's good to engage trusted engineers or persons highly valued in the company or in the team. I, again, have seen it plenty of times in my career when nobody talks about security, and when some big voice comes and say, hey, actually, this is a good job that team's done, like closing the gaps in security, or this is the good improvements that we planned, and it would be nice if we collectively come and invest a little bit into the security efforts. This really matters, but often is underestimated to bring these people to dialogue. Break down simple examples from the very right. And this is could sound a little bit controversial because sometimes or many of times we say, okay, shifting security left, right? This is a nice term, but I think this term is overwhelmed a little bit under marketing and everything. So simple examples from the very right. For example, if you can see, okay, if you can come to the engineering team and say, hey, show me the kind of how your application is deployed in production, and what could possibly go wrong with that, or points, or ask specific questions about those APIs or websites or whatever for publicly facing, and try to start this dialogue, then breaking down to some additional questions, saying, okay, how we now can make things better. Right, and slightly moving from the right to the left, but showing the simple examples. Otherwise, again, it's all by experience. If you come to the team and say, hey, now we use these static analysis tools, or we use this secure composition analysis new cool tool that we bought from the respectful vendor, and now you should spend an enormous amount of time to implement it. And probably I will tell you later why, but it's under compliance, right? Something like that. It works, but it's not. It is not helping to build the security first culture. To be quite honest, I'm not saying these tools are non-valuable, but examples also always should be shown, and this is. Maybe this is an issue, or for us as security professionals, we also need to prove, right? And this is we can't get rid of it. Unfortunately, we always need to prove, and as simple as we do that, as easier, then we can perceive somebody to follow, our practices or the good practices that we try to bring into the teams. More to the examples, and all the examples inspired by true stories. I have some numbers, not necessarily like related to some of the companies, but inspired by the true stories. I had one case study. Development team struggled with prioritizing security documenting and review activities over some cool features that like modern SSO, for example, single sign-on feature that they're building into their products. As we all know, like documentation, and especially security documentation, may not seem like that fascinating work, and often overlooked. But earlier, the team was advised to reserve just fixed 10% of the time, and that was for the first leg. Then they secured lower amount of time, like 5% permanently of the time for all the development functions to do some security work. And this is actually a great example how easily you can you can try to, boost, or you can try to make security happen, because often the case, development teams say, hey, show me the task, show me the Jira task, give me the task, but you don't necessarily know what tasks could be over the software development lifecycle, right? So that to reserve the fixed amount of time actually could be quite helpful. Outcomes of this case study was using this 10% of time over the couple of weeks, let's put it that way. Team with the help of security engineers, but development team itself. They created threat model and reviewed with security engineers. Also, they collectively found the kind of web authentication implementation, which was really an improvement from what development team thought before, with the best open source SSO tool at the time that was available, and actually it later saved around 30% of secure development tasks, and it's explicit for everybody because it brought improvements, it brought some kind of value to the product itself, and also it saved some of the tasks that I kind of referred at the start of my presentation, right? These 10, 100 Jiras. So they were able to cut them off because threat model eventually is made for the good reason, right? To reduce unnecessary work and to see and to show the value of kind of security actions that team need to perform. Now it started with the kind of management and with all this processing stuff, but then it continues through security champions. This is the topic deserves like a couple of hours itself to speak about. I was building security champions program for quite a few companies in my career, but in the nutshell, who are they, security champions? They are just a good persons, just a good engineers, wanted to be, or ideally, if they are already authorities, influencers, and developer advocates or whatever engineering work advocates inside the team. It's better if they have split KPIs, but reports to kind of business or engineering unit. And again, I saw a number of fails when security champions were assigned from the independent team, from the product security or from the security team to the engineering department, so that they are not in the department, and that's it. And vice versa, when security champions just don't have enough exposure to the security team. So it should be split KPIs. They adopt corporate policies using dev-centric approach, right? This is very important to empower your security champions to be those adopters and those enablers that could truly say to the team, right, that or switch this style of work from no, it's forbidden because of the policy or the regulation, to yes, let's do it our own way, but our secure own way. Again, it's often underestimated how much effort it could save just to have security champions on the team to saying, hey, this is the good way how to do things. It's our own way. Anyways, this is not like how product security team said us to do their work. It's our own way, but it's secure way, right? It's kind of a culture also thing and the teamwork. And this is very important. Security champions should be empowered to say no to whatever team, to security team. It's probably a little bit dangerous to say no to legal team inside the company, but they anyways should be empowered to say no to a maximum number of other teams, providing the reason. And that is how I've been building kind of security-first engineering culture at Intel and other companies. Like, hey guys, we just don't do these particular tasks this way because, we use the different technologies, for example, or we use different approach in our team, or even, our DevOps tools or our programming languages are different, and we do it that way. But this is the reason why. So it helps you to build trust between engineering team and security team. Otherwise, they are not going to trust each other, and that actually remains as a big gap, as I see in companies. I kind of work with a few companies also out there, and they see this kind of lack of trust. They don't trust each other, and that's why they try to push some of the things that maybe doesn't make sense. And the best security champions are grown from the engineering team. To be quite honest, I mentioned this example when they kind of were assigned from the outside, but again, to my experience, the best ones are really grown inside the team, and curiosity is the key here. Again, this is a topic for another couple of hours, how to foster security champions, how to find these ones inside the teams. But I think curiosity is the key, is the one thing that, again, to my experience, attracted security champions. I think in my career, I was kind of I was growing up to 100 security champions overall, and they most of them were really good engineers with the curiosity how to do things, right? And that's the key that typically helps, rather than, again, vice versa, try to assign somebody from the outside. One related example, also based on the true story. A team had the lowest secure development metrics. Especially in the big companies, we all have software secure development life cycles, and we have our kind of security risk management teams, and etc. And we love metrics. We measure teams, and we try to see, hey, this team is doing good in terms of security because of some of the metrics. For example, whether they don't breach, the policies or the tasks, or they kind of do all the necessary tasks that we assign to them. Other teams maybe don't do these tasks, and this is the fail, something like that. So the different metrics, how we measure different teams, how they do day-to-day job related to security. And formal assigned security person was replaced by the just a middle engineer desired to pursue security pathway. And I will be talking about this a little bit later, right, about this desire to grow in security as a driver, as an inspirational driver. Now, the results for this team, remember, they had some of the lowest secure development metrics or maturity level inside the company as a team. As a result, it turned out that team workarounds, like some of the security checks, right? Because they say, okay, I misunderstood the description of the security task, for example, or security check, or I thought that one is too heavy, right? And this new security champion helps to leverage some of the automation flows. Automation is, of course, also a big helper in all security-related stuff. And some open source scanners with even providing auto mitigations for some of the stuff. In our modern world, when we have all of these thousands of CVEs coming up for all of our projects, like Log4j. By the way, I was this person who was called on the phone. Do you remember this nice picture, the previous talks, right? When there was a dinner and they said, okay, we don't want to be this person who was called on the phone having the family dinner in the nice restaurants. I was this person in Log4j times when this vulnerability came to ask to handle all of this disaster. But yeah, as a result, this security champion helped to build the a nice level of automation, and then, even though conducted team training to tackle the most important question, why or so what, right? Why we should do this, this kind of additional security investment. So they show them ROI, right? Returns of investment, the value that this kind of engineering work essentially brought to the team. So that's I think quite important example. Now, make security easily accessible. Probably this is also related not only to engineering teams specifically, but especially I want to call out it in the context of engineering or IT teams, because security, like awareness for the overall company from InfoSec perspective, for the kind of average worker of the company, I think is at quite high level of maturity right now for almost all the medium and big companies. But when it comes to transparency or education or awareness for engineers, it's all quite a mess, right? Because we do our own things. That's what we are made for, right? To kind of get our hands dirty in some of the engineering stuff. Why should we listen some of the other guys and do some silly things, right? Make security easily accessible by establishing security portal, one entry point for all the questions. Again, even for the medium and big companies, that's not often the case. When you can find all the information, one-stop shop, like all the engineers then can come and say, hey, this is the information I'm looking for, how to make this task, how to make this scan, why I do this security, what about compliance, and etc. So this is very important. Regular newsletters and being transparent to all. Also, I believe this is a heritage that we are carrying as security professionals, because historically security is such a closed area, right? We don't often talk to each other or to somebody else because it's a sensitive topic, right? It's often perceived to be like a sensitive area, not really transparent and available for everybody, but just a newsletter, just to show in your friendly face to the rest of the team is really good. And again, I've done this within a number of companies, specifically product security newsletter, which shows not only your friendly face, but also shows the something that matters for the team. It's not about, okay, this is the tons of hacks are happening outside, right? This is a news or etc. But something that really could be personalized to the team and say, hey, this is the hack that happened, and this is the top 3 measures that we are doing inside this company that you as a team can apply right away to prevent it moving forward, for example, right? It should be personalized. Mid developers were that well are utilizing existing established in development and DevOps environments, CI/CD environment, and etc. This is also a question about accessibility. Not an easy one, but especially when you start your product security program, or if you don't have hundreds of people working on security team, it's quite useful to utilize the native feature of the existing developer environment, even though there are tons of tools available out there. The features incorporated in GitHub, GitLab, whatever tools you may use, security features, could be quite helpful to start with. Other tips, coming from the practice standpoint, set up Ask Me Anything, even starting with an anonymous one, right? And I did this experiment a couple of times, And again, this is probably came from the lack of trust or in anticipation of punishment by security team for the developers and for the others. Okay, I have this problem in the product, but what if I come to these policy guys or to the security guys? What would be the consequences, right? This is lack of transparency and trust. So you can even set up ask me anything in the anonymous way, right? Besides your kind of regular office hours, to the engineers. And I'm sure you will be surprised, how much increase you will see in reporting of these questions, of these concerns, of issues. And actually, this is one of the greatest metric of the successful security first culture inside your company, when engineers they are happy to report anything related to security openly and transparently to security teams. Tailored role-based trainings, pathways, and interactive labs also help. And yeah, you can even use these fancy chatbots, and with all this AI coming up, it's actually becoming more and more easy to do the simple things like ask me anything about security, or let's do some exercises, let's do some fun stuff. Fun stuff will be the next slide. But tailor-based approach actually works as opposed to have like a one yearly product security training, which you most probably have along with your safety training, legal and compliance, code of conduct, and etc. And between all these trainings, this product security one, I don't know, boring stuff, right? Now, make security valuable and appreciated. One of the most important things. By this, I mean bake security into the corporate recognition program. I've seen not that many actually positive examples of this simple step, like to bring security to the regular corporate recognition program, like whether you do this thank you program inside the company, then could be converted to some of the perks, like, I don't know, gift cards or something, or just recognition by the management. That could be very nice, right? And this very, very nice. It's very visible, and this is simple to bring security stuff into this. Also, it would make sense to make it as a part, or make it as a separate recognition program for security. It's more for big corporations, but still would work. Embrace collaborations outside your team that can boost networking for the engineers, so that, again, security is more valued because it's all about networking. Typically for engineers, if then they're not security engineers, they're normal engineers, security adds additional value, provides you an additional networking opportunity to work outside your normal team, which is good for career. Speaking of career, show career paths advanced by security. I've seen a number of cases when security helps you to grow as an architect or the principal engineer, and etc. Security contribution show that's always desired contributions to hardening and testing of the product's overall quality. Right, this is very important, as I mentioned at the very beginning, to stick security as a cultural thing to other values that are inside your company. Like, are we here to build the quality products? Show them. Include to teams and managers. KPI could be a hard thing that is not the first step when you're building your program, but as it evolves, it surely needs to be included into the overall KPIs at some point. Fun beats formalities. Do fun stuff around security. CTF is a great example, right? Where we're having fun. why don't we bring these type of things inside the company and try to do some fun? Company-wide competitions always boost engagement because we are naturally, as humans, wanted to compete, wanted to, be recognized for something. It could be some simple things. In the big companies, we do some of the bells program, for example, like security bells when you go over the stage within your kind of education program, and then you solve some stuff, and then you show up, you do some labs, and you grow, and then eventually you're recognized as the more and more important security person inside the company with all these fancy credit badges and etc. Again, this is more for big companies, but it could be that could be the simple start with the simple things. Security challenges with leaderboards like CTFs happening there is also a good thing. Practical exercises like hackathons, advanced labs and classes for practitioners. All the engineers, right? We're all the engineers. We all like to do things, right? To do the real things instead of listening to the endless trainings, probably. Trainings are helpful, but not all the time, right? We wanted to do things. And advanced labs and classes for practitioners targeting some specific areas, technology areas, specific programming languages, or, like clouds, etc., could really help with this cultural journey, right? Instead of just, this is compliance only thing. Train the trainers, scale your champions, also a good stuff. To find the persons who want to then to teach others to be the trainers, to be the champions. Another example from the practice that I wanted to bring up here is engineering team with more than 1K headcount and 12 types of different engineering roles, do many of projects or products over the 5 programming languages. Quite a mess, isn't it? And they had only 1 yearly training class for everybody, like I mentioned, along with ethics and compliance. Less than 10% competition of optional security training, and the feedback for that was like, all right, this is okay that we need to do these security trainings, but the feedback from the audience, from the trainees, but it's quite boring still. Now, after the improvement, after there was a role-based training program implemented, as I mentioned, that's quite useful to implement like role-based training, because one of the common things that I get in my practice from the engineers, it is not related to me. Why you show me the security trainings? I don't do this, right? It's unrelated. So with role-based trainings, it's all different. And even if you can put some automation in place and say, hey, what of these trainings from the list you want to take, right? And they take it on their own, based on their expectation, what would be more relevant for them. It's good. It would be good because, they will learn at least something, right? From one of the options provided. And then, of course, they will feel themselves more empowered to take the decisions. Okay, I'm taking this training, not like you mandated me, right? But I decided to take it. And the feedback was more, of course, better for these types of improved educational program. And relevance was better, and increase of the requests. I wanted to learn more. These kind of tailored to me, like, I don't know, specifically web security trainings was so valued to me. I wanted to learn more how to, hack APIs or how to hack this React or something things. Now, results. You can not trust me, right? Because it's like, okay, that's all the good things. But what results are the big companies actually they had after these improvements. This is 2 pieces of statistics from Intel's annual product security report, which is accessible. You can download it. The one for the previous year and the one for the 2 years back. More than 90% of vulnerabilities actually were found inside the company by the employees before they're getting disclosed publicly to their audience. Another percentage was like reports from external reporters, but this means something, like a lot of stuff really found inside. Another example, this time from Red Hat, from our product security risk reports, the current one is for the past few years, but still shows the dynamic, right? Then you can have an idea how it was improved all the time by investing in security and in security culture also. Now, you may ask me a question. This is all like really heavy, right? I don't even know how to start because, I need to do these training classes. I need to go to my management. I need to do this and to do that. It's only applicable for the big companies. How to start? If you have zero resources or you have no idea how to start, you can start with this class, for example, which I also helped a little bit to develop. This is free class by Linux Foundation, developing secure software. Really basics, but really well made, and can give an example for almost all the developers. Why security is important? It contains some of the labs and some of the practical exercises that they would need to take. And again, this is free for everybody. You can just take this class and promote inside your company. And this alone could be the really, really great step if you don't have any resources or any idea how to start. Simple things. Key takeaways. Security first mindset, especially in the engineering teams or IT teams or tech teams, is quite a journey. But it all starts with the leadership. Get executive level buy-in and keep explaining why. Equip them, high level management, with the information and with the ability to say why we do this and why it's important with a certain examples. I showed you a couple of examples before. Give security champions freedom in tools and processes. That is controversial, right? Because again, especially in the big companies or in the companies that are highly regulated, we can't really say, okay, you are not doing PCI DSS right now for the bank, right? It's impossible, but be creative and give security champions freedom in tools and processes, and you will be surprised by the good results. Again, it should be kind of carefully taken, but it's proven to be more successful rather than mandating necessarily what to do. Show a couple of options, and let them try to do their own secure way. Be transparent and development value driven, and encourage reporting issues. As I said, it's quite necessary to invest into the security marketing inside the company. It's a separate skill, but it's really, really necessary to show the rest of the company that we at security do something that's, we are human beings essentially, because otherwise you saw these tigers and others, right? Early on. Be creative beyond yearly corporate training. With your programs, there are tons of ways how to have fun with all this stuff. Collaborate with people, get them together, try to find allies, try to find the kind of good engineers that want to learn more and want to just do creative and new things. And remember, world-class security culture starts from simple things, right? It's not like something that is overcomplicated, especially the first steps, but specifically for the engineering teams, they all should be or must be engineering centric. That's a key point that still is, quite not often the case for some of the teams that I see and that I talk to. And now I have quite a bonus for you to wake up a little bit on this afternoon. What do you think? I mean, we have been talking about all of this security education, and also we have been talking about all of these hacks and stuff that happens in the wild, right? Pretty much all the day. What remains? What do you think? The root cause, or as we call it, CWE, right? Common weakness enumeration for the most exploited in the wild vulnerabilities over past decades. I put the asterisk because, of course, it's based on some of the reports, which may differ from report to report. But what do you think? What remains the root cause for the most exploited in the WISE? We saw this a couple of hints in the previous talks. CWE, name one. People, good one.
Advanced vulnerabilities.
Okay, anything else? It's also good stuff. Sorry? Absolutely. Of course, we can't blame people for everything, but yeah, this is improper input validation. Could you imagine that this stuff that is a root cause for a number of breaches, all of this, like when we have lack of access control, it eventually came specifically from improper input validation, which remains a most common weakness for, in this case, in this report, for over a decade, right? So that means the two things, that pen testers will have job, and that we are not done with the security education and security culture, as we can still get this input validation at the best level inside the engineering team. So a long way to go, but I think we're on the right direction of this. And let's choose security first, engineering-centric culture, and afterwards we can watch all this big stuff. Thank you. I'm cautious on time, but maybe we can take, one or two questions.
I'll say since I think you can proper answer that. Great lecture. My English is not. So, I'm very passionate about this. I love the engineering side, but I also love making people enthusiastic about not scared about security. I think for me, that helps them do what I want to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's amazing that you build something to train people. It's very important now. I was talking last night about the fact that in the AI Act, which went live on the 2nd of February, part of that is mandated that you have to train staff, which I think is a brilliant thing. It's not your opinion on that. The fact that companies have to train staff.
Yeah, exactly. Regulations help at some degree at this, and now with CRA, for example, and the Act and all this stuff, actually, at least I see that it will be helpful for us as security persons to show the more importance of the security education. You're right. Yeah, great. One more question. Sure.
So there are some tools that we use, let's say for take example of data code, even let's say security team or ourselves, we found the vulnerability. It's very long or sometimes lengthy process to fix that or do consultations. Are there alternatives for Veracode is pretty robust, so I feel that it's are there any alternatives where we can make this process smoother from the developer's point of view, any tools or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't mention any tools because there's a separate talk about automation and security tools. That's, yes, there are plenty of tools that you can use both from the educational perspective and from the tooling perspective itself, like to simplify some of the work. I would encourage you to look into what we are doing as part of the OpenSSF, for example, tool set, like these open source tools and practices that are all free, all open, that you can use right away inside the company. Another comment for, I'm not against also, of course, great enterprise level tools, but I think we all should think from the, I mentioned it, meet engineers where that well. If the tool is not that friendly for engineering environments, it is not going to be used in the way anyways, like you want. So even again, try to use open source tools. There are plenty of them. And second, try to use the native features of the existing tools that are inside the company. That's proven to be helpful. All right, thank you.